Thank you for joining us, for loving us, for liking us. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for all those loving the videos so far. The series of To My Younger Selves. Today, I am with
Auntie Vivian, number two.
popularly known as Auntie A for all of us. Always Auntie A, toujours jeune. Today, we're going to talk about singleness. I'm going to ask Auntie A certain questions, right? As I'm late, I don't even know who. We haven't prepared this. I just came to chill out with her today, and I thought, Auntie, why don't we do To My Younger Self series? Okay. Auntie, what do you know now that you would have changed? Yes, times of singleness would have been different. How you saw the times of singleness, or when you were younger, what would you have done differently, if there is any? Or if you've learned in life and you've looked back, and how can we transform somebody else's life in their 20s like we have been?
It's a very difficult question to answer because of communities, societies, and I would say geographic location as well. I mean, for me, where I grew up, which is Cameroon, um, life was different as a young girl, I would say, than it is out here now for our children, because of the society in which we were, the values of the society, and the things that we, I would say, were allowed or not allowed to do. It was difficult as a girl in the house of a certain age not to participate in the activities at home. I mean, it was given whether you were asked or not. I mean, you. I would not walk into the kitchen and ask my mom, do you need help? When I saw her doing vegetable or doing something, it was just obvious that
That's where you were supposed to be.
I had to take over. The only reason she's doing it is because you were not there.
Absolutely.
All right. Um, Going out, I mean, there was a cut-off time for you to be out, and at any one point, they had to know where you had gone to from home, and only with permission. I mean, even as much as clubs, which were, I would say, the one of the places where we could go at any time, because every parent knew who else would be in the club, giving, I mean, about children and all. But still, you had to be permitted to go to the club. I mean, this is like SS Club. I'm not talking about nightclubs and stuff. Yeah, where you go, you play games, tennis, do whatever was available at the time, or run around with the other kids, and still, maybe, but the brothers could be there until about 10, but by 6 o'clock, 6:30, geez, you had to be making your way back home. With that, it's difficult to I would say out here, because they'll tell you first of all, the law makes it very difficult. Your hands are tied as to saying, I mean, you
Discipline.
yeah, to discipline children and all. So it's a little difficult, but generally, I would say, given what I know now, if I could wind back time, there are certain things I would have done that I think would have made things better for me. Um, in the sense that I would have got myself more involved in out here they'll call it community service, but in Cameroon I would say into youth clubs, church groups, and other little things that I think, like prayers, reading more. more meaningful books, because we read then, but what did
Nils
we read?
Albums.
Fairy tales, you know.
And we all thought that was the true life.
Yeah.
That was what.
So yeah, that's what I think.
That was
so
our
far.
foundation. Yeah. Okay. Antia, now looking back, like we're women, we've had children, we've gone through life. Would you have looked at when you were single, prepared yourself stronger and better for the relationship, for your job, for community, for raising life? What do you think? Do you think that when we were single, we prepared ourselves well enough to move on with life, or we didn't even know how?
I would say there is no formula for that. There is no set rules in doing that, because the only, looking back now, the only thing I can think of is when I was single, maybe I should have worked 24 hours 7 days a week, you know, to have some money saved before I start a family, because of course you know what happens with childcare. And other little commitments. The time it's a big factor in bringing up children here. So that's one of the things. To be honest, this one I think is just a day-to-day thing, because looking back in Cameroon, it's much easier because of relatives, aunties, community. You know, you could leave a child with your neighbor for 3 hours and go to the market and come back and it's okay. You could do so many other things. Discipline wise, I mean, you all know the discipline out there, it's fantastic. It's more
Takes a
intense.
village to raise a child.
Unlike now, they've even banned smacking completely. You can't smack a child. You negotiate. At what age? What do they understand? So I mean, there's all of that. I would actually say that one is a little difficult. That there's nothing I would have done. Maybe not have children in this country.
Yeah, that's true. But then as well, me looking back in my own life, I would have been grounded spiritually more. I would have, even though I was, if I look at my whole growing up, I used to, as a young girl, I used to join like in secondary school born again meetings and churches just to avoid being chatted up. So when the boys know that you're born again,
your church well, that's why I said earlier that you would have read more meaningful books,
you know,
and got yourself involved in some activities that had meaning to it.
Yeah, because I found out that if you're more grounded spiritually, you are solid to face the world, the challenges we will encounter along the way, and how we would see others, and how we would see the weaknesses in people and the strengths in people, how we would deal with it. We probably would deal with it better, because we know our spiritual grounding would have given us a fantastic platform to skip on and to do certain things or react in certain ways. But not knowing, then you are influenced by the standards of the world, which sometimes are so contradicting.
I was just going to say that's very opposing, because even with that, if you look at the information that they get from school at a very, very tender age with regards to religion, it's difficult.
Yeah, and now that we live in a world where everything is acceptable and everything is right, there is no wrong or right. Good, the Bible wants us with good being acceptable as bad, and bad be classified as good. If we actually look back now, we can see a lot more. We're able to speak to our children, to friends, to families, and you're able to stand on certain core principles in your life better than, and people mock you for that because you're standing on what they don't know, and it's a place they're not comfortable with. So the tendency is they'll mock you, they'll make a mockery of you, they'll give you names, they'll use strong adjectives to describe you, like desperation, weak, frustrated, all the words that you really hate, you will hate to be associated with. But those are the words that all those words will be used to describe you. And the tendency is, if you're because our foundations are usually very weak, so what happens is when those adjectives are being used on us, you try to prove yourself to people, and so you go contrary to what God is expecting us to do. But if you're grounded, firm in your knowledge, not of religion, because I always think I divorced myself from religion years ago when I started searching the word for me and encountering people who knew the word and direction. Even Christ himself opposed religion. So I started moving myself from religion and seeing the contradiction. Religion has started a lot of wars. That's a video for another day. But looking at the foundations that we're building on and seeing how we would have, if we generally understand as human beings, we're actually all spirits. That's right? Yes, we're all spirits. We are spirits living
in
the flesh. That's why when the spirit in you goes, as a medical person, you people say when the spirit goes, the person is dead.
Yeah.
But if the person who are not spirits, when the spirit leaves you, you should be, the flesh is supposed to walk, but it has no life because God takes his spirit. On that note, we'll say thank you for joining us, for liking us, for sharing, for subscribing, and many more wonderful videos to come with us, trying to explain and talk about times of singleness. The next one, Antia, will talk about when we were single, how has that influenced the way we see relationships, or how did we go into relationships thinking? Okay, hope you join us on that one. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
See you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.